What happens if you get charged with a first-time DUI in Orlando, Florida? This is one of the most common questions I get. I sit down with clients all the time. They've been charged with a DUI, it's their first-time DUI, and it can be a very stressful situation. They are very worried about what may or may not happen to them, what the consequences are, and what the long-term outcome could be for them in terms of how this case will affect them, how it will affect their license, their ability to travel. So there are a lot of things that go into a DUI case, but in particular, a first-time DUI can be frightening. The process can be lengthy, and there are many details to look out for. You really need to sit down with an attorney who's handled many DUI cases. Each one's different. You're dealing with different prosecutors. You're dealing with many different elements of the case, maybe the reasons why you were stopped, the field sobriety test. There are many different things that go into it. But generally, what you can expect if you get a first-time DUI is you'll get pulled over, you'll get arrested. For the most part, in my experience, you will 99 times out of 10 will be arrested and taken to jail that night. So once you're out of jail, bonded out, you come see the attorney, you have to deal with what comes next. So what comes next is preparing the case. You have to gather all the evidence. You have to understand what the consequences could be, what you are looking at, what the potential consequences or sanctions can be. So for the first-time DUI, as are the second, third, fourth, fifth DUI in the state of Florida, they're all dictated by Florida law. There are specific statutes that explain exactly what first-time DUI sentence guidelines should be, what a second DUI, a third DUI is. But generally for the first-time DUI, what's going to happen is you're going to be having to consider whether you accept any kind of sentence, which could involve a license suspension, which could be up to 12 months. It could result in a possible incarceration. Now, the incarceration is not standard for the first-time DUI, but for example, if you are placed on probation for it and you somehow violate it with a different crime, you could end up incarcerated as part of that. So you will have a driver's license suspension. You could be looking at a probation for a term not more than 9 months. You could be looking at a jail term for a period of time for not more than 9 months. You could be looking at a fine, and you can also be looking at a 10-day impoundment for a first-time DUI. An impoundment is simply where you simply can't use your vehicle for 10 days. You don't have to take it to the impound lot, but most likely you just have to put a device on it where you can't use it for 10 days. You also have to take the standard DUI classes and some other traffic classes to ensure your compliance. You'll also have to complete 50 hours of community service. So these are generally the things that you'll be looking at for a first-time DUI. Many of these things will cost you money, so to take the classes, oftentimes you can pay for the community service, which could cost you money. A lot of the tests and exams that they have to do for you will end up costing you money. So this will be for an extended period of time if that is the way that you want to go by accepting a plea. Now, the different things that we can do in terms of fighting or challenging the case, we can gather all the evidence and start from the beginning. Start why they stopped you. Did they have enough reasonable suspicion or probable cause to stop you? Did they conduct all the tests properly? So only an experienced attorney in this field will be able to go through all of that and make sure that everything was in compliance. And if they find ways to defend the case, they find things that were done improperly, then there are definitely ways to support a good defense for a first-time DUI. Now, one other key thing for a first-time DUI is depending on a few factors, which are if it is your first DUI and you do the breathalyzer test where they ask you to blow into the device to see whether you have a blood alcohol concentration that's above the legal limit. If you do that, then you could be eligible for what's called a pretrial diversion program for DUI. Now that's essentially a good option that many individuals take, because what it means is if you successfully comply with all the terms and conditions, then they dismiss the charge of DUI, and then you can later on get that sealed off of your record. Now, you also have to blow under a certain limit. If you do accept a breathalyzer test, you have to blow under a certain limit, which is 2.0, and if you don't blow under the 2.0, then you won't be eligible for the diversion program. So there are certain things that have to be met in order for you to be eligible for the diversion program, but this is usually a good option for first-time offenders. So getting an attorney that's knowledgeable of all the different small details of the statute and the possible sanctions for a first-time DUI is very critical to your defense and the long-term outcome of your DUI case. So if you have any other questions about a first-time DUI, please contact the Victory Law Firm.